So obviously, for a B2B funnel to be working, there should not be any misalignments. So do you
Yeah.
see any major misalignments that are there in the funnels and where there are easy fixes and you can really gain most out of it?
Yes. CTAs and demand are so misaligned. I just did a podcast where, not a podcast, I just did a roast where we were given permission to critique B2B emails. And there were
Mhm.
so many emails that did this one mistake. And I
Mhm.
have to say, if I can share here today on your platform,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
would
sure.
say, like when we're sharing CTAs, make sure your CTA is aligned with where the buyer is on the buyer's journey. So like the first step then means understanding and identifying where they are on the buyer's journey. There was an example of an email from a B2B team. And again, this was all very public. And they were talking about features of the product. And it was an introductory email, but it was going to someone who had already used the free tool. So they were deep in the business already. They were not new to the business. However, the email represented information that was for someone who is newer to the business. So there was a misalignment in CTA and messaging. And so I wanted to share that it's important to make sure that number one, you know where people are. So go ahead and do your segmentation. Use AI to make sure you have your onboarding sequence. They're going to get um, a certain kind of messaging for onboarding for brand new people who have used tools or they've done a middle of the funnel action. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry for the things. They are
Mhm.
going to they're going to have a different type of messaging when it's middle of the funnel. Like maybe it's a follow up from an event, or maybe it is a re-engagement sequence for contacts who maybe have talked to a sales rep and it's been 6 months and they want to re-engage them again. So make sure that you know where people are and then give the appropriate CTA. That is so important because that's the thing that breaks trust is when you give them messaging that is not tailored to where they are in the buyer's journey, and more specifically, where they are in the jobs to be done by the customer. So if they're trying to evaluate your solution and you're giving them a CTA to buy, that might not be quite the right CTA. It might be here's a comparison chart that gives you, helps you evaluate or partner in their pursuit to compare your solution versus others, why you stand out, here are your accolades. So you know that they're evaluating based on an action. Hopefully AI can give you those details. Then you give them the relevant messaging to support them in that goal. And then there's a CTA to move them to the next step. So if they're evaluating, then you can say, hey, when you're ready, here's how we can continue this and ask them to either purchase or get on a sales call. So it's so important to do that. I think we missed the boat on that just because we're not
Mhm.
segmenting the right way.